15:16 Central African Time. If you have just joined us, a very warm welcome to Africa's number one, Africa at Play, as Teleli Siashaya. Let's welcome Namuchana, our correspondent based in Lusaka, Zambia. So Namuchana, good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Good afternoon, Neto, and good afternoon to all our listeners.
Let's start our conversation with the disturbing conversation that we've had as our topic of the day. I never believed that in 2026 we could still be dealing with accusations of a fellow player calling another player, regardless of them playing for different clubs, by a monkey. That is totally not acceptable. Your thoughts on that incident, and are we ever going to triumph this fight against discrimination and racism in sport, not just football, because it could have happened to a different sporting code?
Yeah, very unfortunate matter that, like you rightly put it, that in the year 2026 we still have people with such mentalities that are still thinking in reverse. Their thinking is that of colonial days where people of color were not considered to be human beings. It is extremely unfortunate, but we have to remember that this behavior, Neto, will continue for a very, very long time. For as long as the FIFA, the Confederation of African Football CAF, and other federations out there won't come up with serious and punitive measures to arrest the situation. We need to make sure that countries, not just FIFA, UEFA, or CAF, should come up with serious measures on how to curb this. But we need to sit down, both governments and bodies like UEFA, FIFA, the Confederation of African Football CAF. If, for example, we have got in our laws here in Zambia that anybody who calls another person a monkey, that should be treated as something that is coming from sport. Such a person should be arraigned before the courts of law. First of all, should be arrested by the police, taken to the courts of law, let him stand trial, and be sent to jail. Once we come up with such measures, once we come up with such laws, that when you call your friend all sorts of names, demeaning names, the police should be able to go after the match and take you to court. And if we say, for example, we decide that the maximum punishment for such should be 5 years in jail, we are not going to see people becoming reckless by calling other people monkeys. This is what we just need to do. But what are we seeing? We are seeing a situation where these perpetual offenders are going scot-free because they know at the end of the day, I will just receive a 5-match ban. My club will be fined. They will pay $300,000. They will pay $10,000. And it is business as usual. It is high time a FIFA, the World Soccer Governing Body, working with all countries in the world, they should be able to come up with very serious laws. Actually, it should be a serious offense to demean other people. It doesn't matter whether you uttered those words at a football stadium, whether it was at a basketball match, whether it was at a tennis court. The police should be given powers in all the countries to arrest such people, bring them before the courts of law, let them be tried by the competent courts, and be sent to jail. Once we come up with such measures, Neto, all these issues will just come to an end. But unfortunately, nobody is talking about jailing these people. But what we have is a situation whereby I can call anyone in names. I'll just be fined $10,000, and my club will just be fined, or maybe I'll be banned. That I've been banned from entering any football stadium for the next 2 years. After 2 years, I'm back in the game. So we are just going around in the circles without necessarily addressing the real issue here. My take on this one, Neto, people are supposed to be jailed, because after 5 years, if a player comes back from there, even their career will come to an end.
And from there, they will learn to behave accordingly, because they know that if I misbehave, these are the consequences that I'm going to suffer. That is Namuchana, reflecting to the disturbing topic of the day, where we're talking about an unfortunate incident that took place in a UEFA Champions League match recently, where Benfica of Portugal hosted Real Madrid, and Real won that match by a goal to nil. And if my memory serves me well, Vini Jr. is the goal scorer, and this is the same player who was called a monkey by jersey number 25, according to reports, and Kylian Mbappe, the forward player for Real Madrid, confirming that incident. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll listen to the voice notes. We still have Namuchana on board.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África, com Remo Samo e João Yabalá.
Moçambique prepara-se para a chegada do ciclone tropical Gezane, prevista para esta sexta-feira, com impacto esperado nas províncias de Sofala, Inhambane e Gaza. O fenómeno, que já causou mais de 30 mortes de destruição significativa em Madagascar, poderá atingir o litoral moçambicano, com ventos de 140 km por hora e chuvas intensas, afetando cerca de 1,1 milhão de pessoas. A aproximação do ciclone surge numa altura em que o país ainda recupera das cheias de janeiro, que provocaram dezenas de mortos e afetaram mais de 700 mil pessoas. Para fazer o ponto de situação, ouvimos Rita Almeida, diretora de Planificação e Cooperação do Instituto Nacional de Gestão e Redução de Riscos de Desastres.
As famílias devem reforçar o teto das casas, as portas e as janelas. Devem evitar fazer-se tanto à rua, devem prestar atenção sobre as orientações em relação a centros de acomodação temporário, devem preparar um kit mínimo básico com fósforos, produtos alimentares, medicamentos.
De segunda a sexta-feira, das 20 às 21 horas locais, este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África.
Africa at Play with Neto, Neto Muyane.
15:24 Central African Time. This is Africa at Play, live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time. We still have our correspondent based in Southern Africa, in Lusaka, Zambia. That is Namuchana. And we are now listening to the voice notes on our topic of the day, where we are talking about racism and discrimination in football. And this was triggered by a recent incident in a match between Benfica of Portugal and Real Madrid of Spain in the UEFA Champions League match, and Real won that match by a goal to nil. Vini Jr. called a monkey 5 times by jersey number 25 of Benfica, according to reports confirmed by a fellow Real Madrid player, that is Kylian Mbappe. We've got a voice note from Tseho Musadi. Let's find out what are her thoughts.
Hi, Neto. You know, this incident that just took place recently, it's a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle against racism in football. And to combat such racism and discrimination in football, stakeholders need to stand together and put their foot down by continuing to implement and enforce strict penalties for offenders, which includes zero tolerance policy, where they consistently apply severe sanction for racist behavior. They need to make sure that they educate and make an awareness by promoting inclusivity and respect throughout the targeted campaigns. And also player support plays a big role, you know, where those players need to be provided by resources and protection for victims of racism. And lastly, collaboration is key. encouraging cooperations between clubs, leagues, and governing body to be as one, so that when such comes, they are able to help and support the players in through it all. Asitaleli la siya shaya. Thank you for a great show, Neto. Ketseho from Carltonville.
Tseho Masadi, all the way from Carltonville in the far west from Johannesburg, sharing her thoughts with us on our topic of the day. Zero tolerance, Namuchana?
Yeah, and not although I could hardly get what she was saying, because the line from this end isn't all that good. It keeps on when somebody is talking. It is cutting. I didn't even get what she was trying to say. But I think the issue to do with tolerance, we shouldn't tolerate such a behavior going forward. And for how long are we going to tolerate such kind of behavior from professional footballers? These are people who are professionals. They know what is expected of them. Everybody expects them to behave in a honorable way. They're supposed to be above board. But today, to have a player calling another player a monkey, it is extremely unfortunate. And we wait to see what UEFA is going to do. But this will amount to nothing, Neto. I can tell you, because we have seen this script before. We have witnessed it. At the end of the day, the guy will just be given a 3-match ban, and Benfica might just be fined even 25,000 euros or maybe $30,000. Then that is the end. But Vinicius Junior will live with this thing for a long time. It is not just right to be racially abused. It demeans somebody. It lowers their spirit. Their morale now going forward won't be okay. And if these people don't like black players in the European game, why do they buy them in the first place? This is the question that maybe we should ask the principals of the game in Europe. We cannot allow a situation where their clubs, they continue buying players of color from Africa, from Southern America, from Asia, and at the end of the day, only to be racially abused in Europe. It is totally unacceptable.
Indeed, 15:29 Central African time. Let's take another voice note from Apiwe Ngwenya.
Hi, Africa Play. This is Apiwe Ngwenya. I think that it's actually a difficult one when it comes to racism in sport, because as much as stakeholders, team principals can do something to the player, maybe suspend a player, at the end of the day, it's the player themselves that needs correcting, So even if they have a no racism, no bullying rule within the team, it will still happen because it's actually within the player themselves. However, there's obviously some sort of punishment that players can get with any sport that they actually play in. So whether it's a rugby player doing it, a footballer, etc., whether they are bullying, if they are, for example, suspended and their pay is docked for the next month, because it has to be something that actually hits them hard for them to actually think twice before doing it, because suspending a player for a game or two doesn't really help. Suspending a player for a week or two doesn't really help. But if you hit them where it hurts most, which is their pocket, then they might think twice about saying something. So, for example, if in this instance, the Benfica player is docked a month's salary, they will think twice, and every other player will think twice before doing it again.
There you have it from Piwengwenya. Interesting thought. They're saying if a Benfica player who is responsible for this unacceptable behavior, if they are docked a 1 month salary, then they will know that this is serious business and they've got to treat fellow human beings with respect. We still have our correspondent from Lusaka, Zambia, Namuchana on board. Let's take another voice note from Nande Jobotwana.
The plan here is simple. We can't be expecting apologies, those type of things. No. Players must get banned. Plain and simple. They should just ban players. And so that they know the repercussions of such a behavior. Ban players from a certain tournament, a certain league, however it is. Ban a player for a whole season. They need to start being harsh with the punishments that they give out to these guys.
15:32 Central African Time. Another voice note is from Bongani Juma, a football commentator in Xitsonga, one of South Africa's 11 official languages, and doing so for our sister station at the SABC Mongana Lonene FM.
Good afternoon, Neto and the listeners. This is Bongani Juma from Lenasia. Look, Neto, the issue of racism, what I'm observing is that there's no willingness from the officials, more especially the big confederations such as UEFA and UEFA specifically, to deal with racism decisively. But if it was according to me, don't ban players, but make sure that you deduct 6 months of their salaries for such behaviors. You will see no player is going to do that. As for the fans, just make sure that you also ban some of these fans who are perpetrators of these racist behaviors. Then I think that we might be able to win this thing of racism. Thank you.
Interesting thoughts indeed. Apiwengwenya say take minus a 1 month salary from that player, while Bongani Juma says 6 months salaries from the player who behaves in this manner. That is totally unacceptable. So it is interesting indeed, and I suppose these are some of the mechanisms that could be brought on board and be considered by the mother body of the game, in this instance UEFA, that is in charge for European Champions League. Mr. Namuchana, moving away from this disturbing topic, let's talk about the Cosafa Women's Championship currently underway in South Africa. The Copper Queens this time around couldn't make it to the finals.
And Neto, maybe just briefly before we talk about the Cosafa, I don't think that I agree with what Bongani and Piwengwenya have said. The issue of making sure that these players don't receive their salaries for 1 month or 6 months, it can work. That can't just work. The only way out it is to completely arrest them, arraign them before the courts of law, let them undergo the due process of the law, and let them get convicted. And after maybe 1 year or 2 years in jail, that is the only way we are going to arrest this situation, because some people have a lot of money. Let's say, for example, you get a person like Ronaldo who has millions of dollars. Then you just tell them you want to receive your $900,000 for 1 month. Then what have you done? You are fetching water with a bucket full of walls. Now, coming back to the issue of Cosafa and the Copper Queens, it is very, very disappointing, Neto, that Zambia was eliminated yesterday, and the country that did so was Namibia. But when you take a closer look at what has been happening at the Football Association of Zambia of late, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, because they have failed to prepare this team adequately. They have even failed to organize serious friendly matches for the Copper Queens. You are aware that this is the team that will be headed for WAFCON in March. So even the way they played at Cosafa, they were not all that convincing. And their head coach stayed away. She clearly told the Football Association of Zambia to say, look, I'm not going to take this team to Cosafa because I have told you that I need to train this team. I need to take them to Dubai for friendly matches. So you can't force me to take this team to Cosafa. You can't win football in such environment where there is total confusion. You don't know who is in charge. So just to arrest the situation, the Football Association of Zambia first, they had to quickly elevate assistant coach Charles Harwono to become the caretaker coach at Cosafa. Now look at the confusion. I think even players, when you watch their first game, even yesterday's game, you could see that their body language was not there, and players will respond when the environment is good, when everything is right. I only hope that the Football Association of Zambia has learned their lessons out of this Cosafa. Extremely unfortunate that Namibia today can just walk onto the pitch and knock out the Copper Queens. Things are not looking good for women football in Zambia. Neto.
Namuchana is our correspondent based in Lusaka, Zambia, talking all things Zambian and African sport right here on Africa at Play. So Namuchana, it is a big fixture in South African and African football, the Soweto Derby, that was sold out in just a couple of minutes as soon as there was a green light for the football-loving fans to go and grab their tickets. It is Kaizer Chiefs up against Orlando Pirates, your team. What can we expect?
Yeah, this is a fixture that has never disappointed all these years, Neto. This is one of the biggest derbies on the African continent, and it is a derby that is very, very difficult to predict. But from what we have watched this season, I think Orlando Pirates have got an upper hand. Kaizer Chiefs haven't accounted themselves well. This season, we don't know where the problem is. But again, to underrate Kaizer Chiefs, it will be something that will be very dangerous to do so. This is the team that is capable. On their day, they are capable of hitting you and hitting you hard. So I'm expecting sparks as always, and I'm expecting a tight game. At the end of the day, the winner shouldn't. I'm seeing the winner just going home with a 1-0 or maybe a 2-1 scoreline. Both teams are likely to score, or if the other team will be so resolute, they are going to lock their defense, maybe allowing the other just to score and go. Otherwise, we just wish both teams all the best. Very interesting derby to watch, and we can't just wait to watch it. But I'm leaning towards the Orlando Pirates for simple reasons, because they have played entertaining football. They play well, they coordinate well, they attack as a unit. When they lose the ball, they seem compact, and they have never disappointed this season. Orlando Pirates, Neto. Yeah, just like we normally have power dynamos in Ghana or Ghana power here, you can't know the end result. So, good luck to Kaizer Chiefs and the Orlando Pirates as they lock horns today.
It is 15:40 Central African time, 10 minutes into the Soweto Derby, and if you haven't been informed, Orlando Pirates is leading Kaizer Chiefs by 1-0, a goal that was scored in the opening 7 minutes of the match. We will continue to update you on all things the Soweto Derby. Mr. Namuchana, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon watching the Soweto Derby and all things African football.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neto. And extremely disappointing that on Wednesday we had something that was very, very annoying here in Zambia, and we haven't seen such a thing in Zambian football after the game between Red Arrows and Power Dynamos. Soccer fans from both sides started hitting each other with stones, and it was so ugly that a lot of soccer fans were badly injured and they had to be rushed to the stadium. We have never seen such a thing before. We don't know where Zambian football is headed to. Ugly scenes on Wednesday at Nkoroma Stadium.
Yeah, that is a behavior that is really unacceptable, and one wishes if there was a way to really educate the fans. So I know there's emotions attached, there's whole sort of feelings when you are a soccer fan. You just want your team to win every match, and that is practically impossible. And the violence in football is not allowed at all, because this is the game that is supposed to be supported by families. And how will Mr. Namuchana and his family attend the game confidently if there are lack of safety issues at the stadium? Mr. Namuchana, thank you so much. Have a good afternoon further.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neto, for having me.
15:42 Central African Time. If you have just joined us, a very warm welcome. We take a short break. When we come back, we will take a prediction from Bongani Chuma about the